Welcome to Silent Crime Case, where we unravel the most gripping mysteries and delve into the shadows of unspeakable crimes. Today's story takes us to a quiet suburban neighborhood, a place where everything seemed picture perfect, until one shocking morning turned life upside down. A discovery so haunting it shook the community, revealing secrets no one could have imagined. What really happened behind closed doors? And how did it all spiral into tragedy? Stay with us as we uncover the untold truth behind this chilling case. In the early hours of May 10, 2015, the serenity of Crestview Heights, a suburban neighborhood in Wilmington, North Carolina, was shattered. At 6:32 a.m., the piercing sound of sirens broke through the stillness as emergency responders rushed to the home of Logan Braxton, a well-known figure in the community. Inside, Logan's lifeless body was discovered sprawled in the dining room, his blood pooling beneath the polished oak table. But what gripped the officers more than the scene itself was the figure sitting on the front porch. Evelyn Braxton, Logan's wife, sat motionless on the porch steps, her back against the railing, her eyes vacant as they stared into the distance. A cigarette burned slowly between her fingers, the faint trail of smoke curling into the morning air. Bloodstains were visible on her hands, smeared as though she had tried to wash them away but failed. Her calm demeanor contrasted starkly with the chaos inside. The first witness to the scene, Mrs. Eleanor Clark, a retired nurse and neighbor, had been walking her dog when she noticed the front door of Logan's house ajar. Eleanor's initial curiosity turned to dread when she saw Evelyn sitting on the porch, unmoving. She looked so calm, like none of it mattered, Eleanor later recounted. It froze me in my tracks. When police arrived, Evelyn did not resist. She allowed herself to be escorted to a patrol car without protest, her gaze fixed ahead as though lost in thought. The chilling stillness of her demeanor unnerved everyone present. Meanwhile, inside the house, officers found signs of a violent confrontation but no clear answers. Evelyn's silence only deepened the mystery, leaving investigators with more questions than clues. As investigators began piecing together the events of Logan Braxton's final hours, their attention turned to his wife, Evelyn Braxton. Evelyn, a decorated Army veteran and former intelligence officer, had been conspicuously absent when police arrived. Hours later, she was found sitting alone on a park bench miles away from the crime scene, staring blankly at the horizon. Evelyn, aged 38, was known in the community for her quiet strength and dedication. Despite her composed exterior, those who knew her described a woman who carried the weight of untold stories. Her military service had earned her accolades, but it had also left her with scars, both seen and unseen. When detectives approached Evelyn, she didn't resist. Her demeanor was calm, almost unnervingly so, as she answered their questions with measured responses. She admitted to being at the house the previous night, but claimed to have left after an argument with Logan. "He was angry," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "I thought it was best to leave." Her hands, however, betrayed a different story. Though she had attempted to wash away the evidence, faint traces of blood remained under her nails. Detectives noted the tension in her body language, the way her gaze seemed to shift when asked specific questions about her movements. It wasn't enough to arrest her, but it was enough to make her a person of interest. Evelyn's military background added another layer of complexity to the investigation. Her skills in strategy and discipline made it difficult for detectives to discern whether she was grieving or hiding something more sinister. As the sun set on that first day of the investigation, one thing became clear. Evelyn Braxton was a key piece of this puzzle, but her true role in Logan's death remained shrouded in mystery. The Braxton home, once a symbol of success and stability, had become a crime scene teeming with hidden secrets. As investigators meticulously combed through the property, they uncovered details that painted a far more complicated picture of Logan and Evelyn's life together. In addition to the encrypted files on Logan's laptop and suspicious financial documents, detectives discovered Evelyn's journals in a locked drawer in the guest room. The journals provided an intimate glimpse into Evelyn's deteriorating emotional state. She wrote of sleepless nights, haunting memories from her military service, and her growing suspicions about Logan's affair. The entries revealed a woman struggling to hold herself together while navigating a marriage built on lies. One particular entry stood out. "I know he's lying to me. The late nights, the phone calls he hides. It's not just about another woman, it's about trust. The betrayal cuts deeper than anything I've ever felt. I don't know how much longer I can endure this." The journals also included a list of questions Evelyn planned to ask Logan. Why did you betray me? Do you love her? Do you realize what you've done to us? The lack of any mention of violence in her writing became a cornerstone of her defense, suggesting that Evelyn had intended only to confront Logan, not harm him. But the presence of surveillance photos and detailed notes in the basement complicated the narrative. Was Evelyn merely documenting Logan's betrayal, or was she planning something more sinister? As the investigation deepened, Evelyn Braxton's past emerged as a focal point. While her military record and PTSD diagnosis were well known, the newly discovered journals shed light on a deeper, more personal history. Investigators learned of Evelyn's difficult childhood, marked by years of physical and emotional abuse at the hands of her father. Raised in a small Texas town, Evelyn had taken on the role of protector for her younger sister, Natalie, often shielding her from their father's violent outbursts. These formative experiences had shaped Evelyn into the disciplined, resilient person she became. Her decision to join the Army at 18 was driven by a desire to escape her past and build a life defined by purpose and structure. Her military service earned her accolades, but it also left her with scars she hid from everyone but herself. Friends and colleagues described Evelyn as fiercely independent, but her journals painted a more vulnerable picture. She often wrote about feeling stuck between two worlds, the disciplined soldier she had been and the fractured person she had become. Her struggles with PTSD, coupled with the strain of her marriage, painted a portrait of a woman on the brink of collapse. This newfound context added layers to Evelyn's story, prompting both empathy and suspicion. Could her past traumas have contributed to her actions, or was she using them as a shield to deflect responsibility? The line between victim and perpetrator grew increasingly blurred. Just as investigators began to zero in on Evelyn as the primary suspect, a new development shifted the focus of the case. A tip from an anonymous source led detectives to a storage unit rented under Logan Braxton's name. Inside, they found a collection of items that hinted at a hidden relationship. The storage unit contained photographs, letters, and gifts that Logan had exchanged with a woman named Sabrina Ellis. Sabrina, a 29-year-old marketing executive, was quickly identified and brought in for questioning. Her relationship with Logan, she claimed, had started as a professional connection, but had evolved into a romantic affair. Sabrina's account added a layer of complexity to the case. She described Logan as a man torn between two worlds, one with his disciplined and emotionally distant wife, and another filled with excitement and spontaneity. According to Sabrina, Logan had been planning to leave Evelyn. He wanted a fresh start, she said, tears streaming down her face. But he was scared of how she'd react. The discovery of Sabrina's relationship with Logan introduced a potential motive for Evelyn, but it also opened the door to new questions. Was Sabrina simply an innocent bystander, or did she have her own reasons for wanting Logan out of the picture? And what of the surveillance photos found in the Braxton home? Had Evelyn been tracking Logan and Sabrina, or was someone else pulling the strings? As detectives worked to untangle the threads of this increasingly complex case, the sense of unease grew. Each revelation seemed to deepen the mystery, drawing them closer to a truth that promised to be far more disturbing than they had imagined. As investigators dove deeper into the lives of Evelyn Braxton and Sabrina Ellis, the complexity of the case intensified. Sabrina's revelations about her relationship with Logan cast doubt on Evelyn's innocence, but the discovery of further evidence muddied the waters even more. Detectives uncovered a series of encrypted emails on Logan's laptop, which revealed that he had been in contact with another mysterious figure, known only by the alias Cobalt. The emails were cryptic, filled with references to financial transactions and veiled threats. "If you don't handle your end," one message read, "there will be consequences." The identity of Cobalt became a key focus of the investigation, as it appeared this individual had a vested interest in Logan's secret dealings. Was this person involved in his murder, or were they merely a shadow in the background of his increasingly convoluted life? The team's forensic expert, Detective Carly Mendez, worked tirelessly to decrypt additional files found on Logan's devices. What she uncovered sent shockwaves through the investigative team. Logan had been funneling money not only to Sabrina, but also to an offshore account connected to Evelyn. The transaction suggested a level of complicity that made Evelyn's claims of ignorance difficult to believe. Meanwhile, Evelyn's attorney, Bryce Calloway, maintained her innocence. "My client is a victim of circumstance," he argued in a press conference. Logan's deceit and manipulation have cast a shadow of suspicion on her, but she is not the person you're looking for. As the evidence mounted, so did the tension. Investigators couldn't shake the feeling that they were being led into a labyrinth of deception, where every answer only raised more questions. The true nature of Logan's death seemed farther from their grasp with each passing day. In late May 2015, a breakthrough emerged when Detective Mendez managed to trace the alias Cobalt to a man named Victor Lorne, a former associate of Logan's from his financial firm. Lorne had been terminated from the company 2 years prior, under allegations of embezzlement allegations that had mysteriously disappeared. When detectives brought Lorne in for questioning, his smug demeanor and cryptic answers only heightened their suspicions. "Logan got what he deserved," Lorne said, leaning back in his chair with a twisted smile. "He thought he could outplay everyone, but in the end, the game caught up with him." Despite his antagonistic attitude, Lorne stopped short of confessing to any direct involvement in Logan's death. As the interrogation continued, Lorne revealed something shocking. Logan had been involved in a high-stakes money laundering scheme that extended far beyond Wilmington. According to Lorne, Logan had been working with international clients who were using his financial firm to move illicit funds. The pressure from these dealings had grown unbearable, and Logan's relationship with Cobalt, or Lorne, had soured after a botched transaction. Lorne's testimony, while valuable, painted an even murkier picture of Logan's life. Detectives now faced a troubling possibility. Logan's murder may not have been the result of a domestic dispute, as initially suspected, but rather the fallout of a dangerous criminal enterprise. The discovery deepened the mystery, making Evelyn's involvement both more plausible and more complicated. Could she have been caught in the crossfire of Logan's dangerous dealings, or was she an active participant? The case was no longer confined to the walls of the Braxton home. It had expanded into a web of corruption, betrayal, and greed, one that seemed to implicate everyone it touched. As Evelyn's trial approached, the prosecution introduced her journals as evidence. They argued that the entries, while emotionally charged, showed a meticulous mind capable of planning. The questions Evelyn had written for Logan were framed as a precursor to a confrontation she knew could escalate. They pointed to the fact that Evelyn's military training gave her the tools to execute a plan with precision, making it harder for the defense to argue the killing was spontaneous. Adding to the tension was the introduction of a recording taken from a smart home device. In the recording, Logan's voice was heard mocking Evelyn during what appeared to be an argument. "You're too broken to love, Evelyn. Maybe that's why I need someone else," Logan said, his tone laced with cruelty. The recording ended abruptly, but its impact was undeniable, painting Logan as cruel and manipulative. Still, the prosecution used the recording to argue that Evelyn had snapped, driven by a combination of humiliation and rage. The defense countered by highlighting Evelyn's PTSD and her years of emotional abuse, not just from Logan, but from her childhood. They painted a picture of a woman who had reached her breaking point after years of betrayal and manipulation. However, the prosecution's narrative of premeditation gained traction when they tied Evelyn's surveillance efforts to her military training, suggesting she had weaponized her skills to carry out the act. Evelyn's calm demeanor in court did little to help her case. While some saw her stoicism as strength, others viewed it as cold detachment, reinforcing the image of a calculating individual. Public opinion was sharply divided, and the once heroic image of Evelyn Braxton now hung in the balance. The tension in the courtroom grew as both sides pushed their narratives, leaving the jury to decide between premeditation and emotional breaking point. Just when it seemed the case had reached its boiling point, a shocking twist emerged. On June 3, 2015, Sabrina Ellis came forward with a confession that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Breaking down in tears, Sabrina admitted to being more involved in Logan's life and death than she had previously disclosed. According to Sabrina, Logan had confided in her about his criminal activities and his fears of retaliation. He had told her about threats he'd received from Victor Lorne and hinted that Evelyn might also be aware of his double life. Sabrina claimed that Logan's paranoia had driven him to consider fleeing the country, but he never got the chance. The most explosive part of Sabrina's confession was her admission that she had been at the Braxton house on the night of Logan's murder. She claimed she had gone there to confront Logan about his broken promises and escalating lies. "I didn't mean for things to go that far," Sabrina sobbed, insisting she had only wanted answers. While Sabrina stopped short of confessing to pulling the trigger, Her statement introduced new questions. Had she witnessed Logan's murder? Or was she the one responsible? The aftermath of the trial revealed a fractured web of relationships and unresolved emotions. For the people caught in Logan Braxton's orbit, his death was not the end of their suffering, but the beginning of a long, painful journey toward understanding and healing. Life in prison forced Evelyn Braxton to confront the choices that had led her there. At first, she kept to herself, wary of the other inmates and the unforgiving environment. But as time passed, Evelyn began to adapt, drawing on the resilience and discipline she had developed during her military career. Evelyn's reputation as a former Army intelligence officer quickly spread, earning her both respect and caution from her fellow inmates. She used her skills to mediate conflicts and mentor younger women, becoming a stabilizing presence within the prison's walls. In time, Evelyn's leadership qualities caught the attention of the prison administration, who enlisted her to help with rehabilitation programs. Through therapy sessions, Evelyn began to confront her trauma. She spoke about her experiences in Afghanistan, her struggles with PTSD, and the betrayal she had endured in her marriage. These sessions proved cathartic, allowing Evelyn to reflect on her actions with a level of honesty she had previously avoided. She often wrote in a journal, detailing her emotions and the lessons she had learned. One of the most profound moments of Evelyn's incarceration came during a group therapy session, where she met other veterans who had struggled to reintegrate into civilian life. Sharing their stories forged a bond among them, and Evelyn found a renewed sense of purpose in advocating for better mental health resources for veterans. Despite the harsh realities of prison life, Evelyn's time behind bars became a period of transformation. While she could never undo the past, she resolved to use her experiences to create something meaningful. Her journey, though marked by pain and regret, became a testament to the human capacity for resilience and redemption. In early 2016, a startling development reignited interest in the case. A former employee of Logan Braxton's financial firm came forward with new information, claiming to have evidence that could change everything. The whistleblower, identified as Marcus Lang, provided a detailed account of the firm's illegal activities and revealed a chilling connection to Victor Lorne. Her confession cast doubt on Evelyn's role and added another layer of complexity to an already convoluted case. The prosecution scrambled to reassess their strategy, while Evelyn's defense seized the opportunity to redirect suspicion. The courtroom buzzed with speculation, but one thing was clear. The truth was still out there, buried beneath a mountain of lies and half-truths. As the trial continued, the stakes grew higher, and the line between victim and perpetrator became increasingly blurred. On June 30th, 2015, after 3 days of deliberation, the jury reached its verdict. Evelyn Braxton was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to 25 years in prison. The courtroom reaction was a mixture of gasps and silence, reflecting the polarizing nature of the case. Supporters of Evelyn wept openly, while critics murmured their approval. The verdict sparked national debate, with pundits and the public taking sides. Evelyn's supporters argued that her actions were the result of emotional and psychological abuse, exacerbated by her PTSD, and the betrayal she endured. They cited her journals and the recording of Logan's cruelty as evidence of a woman pushed beyond her limits. Social media campaigns highlighted her service to the country, with hashtags like "Justice for Evelyn" trending for weeks. Advocacy groups for veterans began calling for systemic changes in how the justice system handles cases involving PTSD. Critics, however, saw the verdict as justified. They argued that Evelyn's meticulous planning and her role in tracking Logan's affair painted her as more than just a scorned wife. To them, the surveillance room, financial links, and her cold courtroom demeanor were undeniable signs of a premeditated crime. Documentaries began framing her as a cautionary tale of how personal trauma could spiral into calculated violence. Meanwhile, Evelyn's family, particularly her sister Natalie, continued to advocate for prison reform and veteran mental health support in Evelyn's name. Natalie's speeches and interviews helped keep Evelyn's story in the public eye, ensuring that her case remained a symbol of broader societal issues. For Evelyn, the verdict marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. As she began her sentence, she carried the weight of her choices and the scars of a life defined by both triumph and tragedy. The public's fascination with her story ensured that, for better or worse, Evelyn Braxton's name would not be forgotten. As Evelyn Braxton adjusted to life behind bars, the ripple effects of Logan's murder continued to haunt those involved. Victor Lorne's role in the case remained under intense scrutiny. Detectives worked tirelessly to uncover his deeper connections to Logan's financial schemes, but Victor proved to be a master at covering his tracks. While no concrete evidence tied him directly to Logan's death, the investigation unearthed a network of illegal dealings that led to several arrests of his associates. Sabrina Ellis, meanwhile, faced a storm of public backlash. Despite her confession, she was never charged with Logan's murder due to insufficient evidence. However, the court of public opinion was far less forgiving. Sabrina's life fell into disarray as her name became synonymous with scandal. She lost her job, faced harassment, and eventually relocated to escape the scrutiny. In interviews, she maintained her innocence but admitted, "I'll carry the weight of that night for the rest of my life." Evelyn's family also struggled in the wake of the trial. Her parents, who had initially stood by her, became reclusive as media attention turned their lives upside down. Evelyn's younger sister, Natalie, emerged as her staunchest supporter, advocating for prison reform and veteran mental health programs in Evelyn's name. Natalie's efforts brought attention to the unique struggles faced by veterans, but she never fully escaped the shadow. According to Lang, Lorne had pressured Logan into laundering money for powerful clients. When Logan began expressing doubts and considering backing out, Lorne allegedly issued threats against Logan's life. Lang's testimony also implicated Lorne in a series of other crimes, including fraud and intimidation, but the most shocking revelation came when Lang produced a recording of a phone conversation between Logan and Evelyn, dated just days before his death. In the recording, Logan's voice was frantic as he warned Evelyn about the danger they both faced. "They're watching us," he said. "If anything happens to me, protect yourself." The recording added a new layer of complexity to Evelyn's case. While it didn't exonerate her, it suggested that Logan's murder may have been part of a larger conspiracy. Detectives reopened their investigation into Victor Lorne, and public opinion began to shift once again. Evelyn's supporters argued that she had been unfairly scapegoated for a crime rooted in Logan's dangerous dealings. The recording and Lang's testimony painted a picture of a man trapped in a web of corruption, desperately trying to protect himself and his wife. For the first time, the focus shifted away from Evelyn as a vengeful spouse and toward the shadowy forces that had loomed over Logan's life. The reinvestigation into Victor Lorne's activities culminated in a series of arrests in late 2016. Lorne and several of his associates were charged with money laundering, fraud, and conspiracy to commit murder. While Lorne denied any involvement in Logan's death, the evidence against him was damning. Emails, financial records, and witness testimonies painted him as the mastermind behind a criminal enterprise that had ensnared Logan. Evelyn's legal team seized on these developments to appeal her conviction. They argued that the new evidence cast doubt on the prosecution's original narrative, suggesting that Evelyn had acted out of fear rather than premeditation. The appeals process was lengthy and arduous, but it ultimately resulted in Evelyn's sentence being reduced to 15 years. The revelations about Lorne's involvement reshaped public perception of the case. Documentaries and news specials revisited the events, framing Evelyn as a tragic figure caught in a deadly game of greed and betrayal. While some continued to view her as culpable, others saw her as a victim of circumstances beyond her control. For Evelyn, the truth was both liberating and bittersweet. While she welcomed the reduced sentence, she knew that no amount of evidence could erase the pain of what had happened. The scars of betrayal, loss, and guilt remained, serving as a constant reminder of the life she had once known. In 2025, after serving 10 years of her reduced sentence, Evelyn Braxton was granted parole. Her release marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Choosing to leave her past behind, Evelyn moved to a remote town in Montana, where she began a quiet life away from the spotlight. Evelyn dedicated herself to advocacy work, using her experiences to support veterans struggling with PTSD and reintegration. She collaborated with nonprofit organizations to provide resources and counseling, often sharing her own story as a testament to the importance of mental health support. In her downtime, Evelyn found solace in writing. Her memoir, Shadows of Betrayal, became a bestseller, offering readers an intimate look into her life and the choices that had defined it. The book sparked renewed discussions about the challenges faced by veterans and the complexities of justice in cases involving trauma and mental health. Though she avoided the media, Evelyn occasionally gave talks at veterans' centers and universities. Her message was clear: Resilience is not about erasing the past, but learning to live with it. For those who had followed her story, Evelyn's journey served as a powerful reminder of the strength it takes to confront one's demons and emerge on the other side. As the years passed, Evelyn's name faded from the headlines, but her impact endured. Her life, marked by tragedy and redemption, became a symbol of hope for others navigating the shadows of their own struggles. In the quiet of Montana's open skies, Evelyn Braxton found the peace she had long sought, proving that even in the aftermath of betrayal and loss, a new beginning is always possible. As the story of Evelyn Braxton comes to a close, we're left with more than just the chilling details of a single crime. It's a haunting reminder of how betrayal, trauma, and desperation can intertwine to create an unthinkable tragedy. Evelyn's journey from a decorated veteran to a woman caught in the shadows of her own life is one that continues to raise questions about justice, mental health, and the human capacity to endure. What truly happened on that fateful night? And can we ever fully uncover the truth behind the secrets people keep? Nunton, and thank you for joining us on Silent Crime Case as we explored the betrayal that shattered a suburban dream. If you found this case as gripping as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our next dive into the hidden and silent stories of crime. Let us know your theories in the comments below. What do you think really happened? Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and keep listening for the truths hidden in the silence.